1 minute warning!
To the goofball army out there, hi at the families, tell them to get to the next room, tell them to go to your neighbors, because we got goofball news to go over, and it might get crazy.
Typically does, guys. If it's your first episode ever, you got like 30 seconds before we start, so not enough time to go to the bathroom, but go get a drink, because trust me, you're probably going to need it there. In the meantime, the rest, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. That way you know about future episodes as well, guys. Buckle your seatbelts if you haven't already. Make sure your tray is in the upright position here, guys, because we are just about ready to get going. And like, oof.
Guys, if you want a crazy ride going forward, a bunch of nonsense, but all nothing but the truth about the Giants, listen in, buckle in, tell a friend.
Let's go.
And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, the New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, perhaps joined later on by Rob, who's enjoying the festivities of the Labor Day weekend here a little too much. But guys, we got a lot to go over here. This is the last week before the preseason's over. We go into the actual regular season here. We got week one here, less than a week to the first game. NFL is back. So we got the Commanders obviously this week. So guys, we're going into our regular scheduled program, in season kind of program here. So every Wednesday is going to start being our preview of the upcoming game. Every Thursday is going to be our pick show, giving you guys all the games, including the picks overall, the spread picks, the over-unders. And of course, during game days, whenever we don't go to a game, which is most games, it's very rare we can get a chance to go, but I may go to one this year perhaps, but we will be doing play-by-play live during the game, as well as also, of course, immediately after the game, doing the post-game action as well there, guys. So let's get right into it, guys. We have to talk about roster changes that happened here. And, of course, also finish up what we started last episode. We went over the breakdown of all the offensive players. Now, today, we got to go over with you guys all of the defensive players. So let's get right into it. All righty, let's get into these changes to the roster here. There's been a lot of changes. I'm going to tell you this segment here, point blank, is going to kind of separate the casual fans from the diehard fans, because there's a lot of minor moves going on here. Like always, we always give you every single move that happens here within the Giants. So first thing we got here for you guys is on the 28th, on Thursday. We'll give you the rundown from there. So first off, signed to the practice squad is Swaze Bozeman, 26 years old, 6'1", 229 pounds, linebacker, originally a UDFA last year in 24 from Southern Miss. Spent last year with the Chiefs, 3 games, 3 tackles, just 7 snaps on defense, 57 on special teams. Spent this year on the Bears with their training camp there and got cut at the end there. So now he's picked up onto the practice squad. Also onto the practice squad, tight end Qadir Ishmael, 28 years old, 6'6", 232 pounds, an undrafted rookie free agent originally last year from Samford University. Not confused with Stanford, Samford. Actually started college though in Villanova, where he was a quarterback before switching over to wide receiver at Samford. So that's now 3 different positions he's had there. What does that tell you? Usually athlete trying to find a spot, basically. The son of Quadra Ishmael, you remember him, and also nephew of Rocket Ishmael. So got a couple of former NFL players that were pretty dang decent there on the family tree there. Spent all of last year on the Ravens practice squad, which is always a little interesting to me in that, because like looking about the Ravens getting a wide receiver late, converting them now to a tight end, like that's the same thing with Darren Waller. They didn't necessarily reap the benefits. The Raiders did, but not saying he's going to be Waller, but listen, you never know. Just give an example while we go over these things. You just never know. He was with the Raiders there in camp this year and got cut from them. So now he's officially on the Giants practice squad. Also, defensive back Patrick McMorris. They list him on the Giants as a defensive back. He's listed most places as a safety, 23 years old, 6 foot even, 206 pounds. Was a 6th-round pick of the Dolphins back in 24 from Cal. Played his first 3 college seasons at San Diego State. Last year, 6 games, 1 tackle, 8 defensive snaps, 97 snaps on special teams, and again was cut by Miami at the end of camp there. Now, on Friday, they made some more moves as well. So we re-signed wide receiver Gunnar Olszewski. Again, that was the plan from the very get-go. We said that when he got dropped there. This was a drop to pick back up kind of scenario. Cornerback Rico Payton was moved to the reserved injured list there. As we said, he was injured when the Giants picked him up off of waivers. So that was simply moved just to stash him for next year. Signed to the practice squad, Zaire Barnes, 25 years old, 6'1", 227 pounds, 6th-round pick from the Jets back in 23 from Western Michigan. Has appeared in 4 games with the Jets their last year. No stats to speak of whatsoever. Just 32 snaps on special teams. But the Giants were said to be very impressed with him when the joint practice happened between the Giants and the Jets, and that's what kind of led to their interest in picking him up for that. One other practice squad signing, guard McClendon Curtis, 25 years old, 6'6", 331 pounds, a UDFA from 24 from Chattanooga, originally signed with the Raiders, but did spend, actually I say from 23 was UDFA, I apologize. Spent 3 games with the Seahawks there in 24 and 1 in 23 with the Seahawks there. Just 23 special team snaps to speak of. Was spent camp with the Cardinals, was cut by them. So he's gone from Raiders, Seahawks, Cardinals, now the Giants. So obviously they see something they like, but I always question when I see a guy who's been in the league for like 2 years and is already on his 5th team. That's a lot. Now we also cut a guy from the practice squad, which I don't like, and I'm sure many of y'all won't like either. Trace Ford, who we originally thought might even make the roster because he played so damn good in the preseason games there, but instead was cut, put onto the practice squad, and now very quickly thrown off the practice squad, which I don't get, guys. Like, is there something maybe that we don't know that the Giants know about Trace Ford? Like, it just seems a little funky. Like, the guy leads the team in pressures in the preseason. Again, mostly playing against backups. We always establish that when it comes to preseason games, but played pretty good. And okay, I can get you don't want him on the regular roster at that point, but you're telling me you're going to sign a guy who's on a 4th or 5th team in 2 years, and you want to pick him up, but you can't find room for a rookie that played well for you in the preseason. And I get it. This is bottom of the barrel roster decisions. Like, listen, no matter which way they go, it could not matter whatsoever because this is not like these are guys we're counting on anything big from. But I don't get that at all. Like, why would you cut a guy who legitimately was looking good in the preseason to pick up a guy who's been dropped by multiple teams? Just doesn't make sense. Just doesn't make sense. But listen, we'll find out what happens. As always, we'll keep you guys up to date on what's going on also with the New York Giants here. Now, we also lost a draft pick to the Jets. Yes, the Giants lost a draft pick to the Jets. Cornerback Corey Black, who, of course, was our 7th-round pick in this past draft, was cut just 1 day after the initial cuts. Now, we said on our show, point blank, that was kind of a dick move. That was the move by the Giants to make sure he drops so they can put him on their practice squad. That's 100% what that was, guys, because most people go to fill up their roster spots pretty quickly. Well, he cleared waivers. Giants were all happy thinking they can get him back. This is what they wanted. This is what they thought they were going to do right off the bat. But instead, he got a call from the Jets with an interest to join their practice squad, and he took them up in that offer there. I would love to be a fly in the wall for that conversation all around. In Joe Shane's office, in Corey Black's meeting, like with the Jets. I would love to hear all of it. Like this is something like could be like a made for TV freaking movie here, people. Like that's insanity. Like you drop a guy and don't tell me they didn't have the conversation already. Listen, you're gonna probably clear waivers. When you clear waivers, we're gonna pick you up again and put you on the practice squad. That's our plan. We like you. Like Joe Shane and his people, I guarantee you had that conversation. He clears waivers and says, nah, I'm good. I'm going to the Jets. I mean, besides the fact that you got to question why anybody want to ever go to the Jets, that's just a little crazy. But yeah, we literally see now a player choosing the Jets over the Giants. That's not a good day, guys. That's not a good day for anybody. But listen, in the end, I don't know what the conversations were 100%. I don't know if there was issues in camp with him. I don't. There's a lot of things we're not privy to. But obviously, for whatever reason, Corey Black felt like the Giants, the team that literally drafted him just a few months ago, was not the best opportunity for him. And that there was a better opportunity within the same stadium. Now, you see all the time Jets and Giants swapping players. We talked about, one that the Giants got this week already from the Jets. And a lot of it is, quite frankly, guys don't have to move. It's an advantage when you're trying to pitch to them. Like, hey, you don't have to move. You can just come right here to us and we can take you on. But you don't see it happen very often in this type of way where the Giants and Jets are really fighting for the same person because one of the teams dropped him temporarily to put him on the practice squad. It's an interesting scenario, that's for sure, guys. But, we'll see what happens. I'll say this. He chose the Jets, hopefully for his sake. It's the right decision for his career. But if it's not, he's going to regret that move for quite a long time. That's for damn sure there. So, all right, let's get into the defensive players here, guys. Again, we got to finish going over all the players from the defensive side of football here because we did all the offensive players last week on Thursday's episode. If you missed that, go ahead and check it out. We had a special guest with us too as well. So like I said, good show overall. So we got to start off with the defensive end position. And there's a guy here who I think is probably one of the most underrated Giants in this entire team right now. And it's going to sound crazy to say it, but it's Kayvon Thibodeaux. Kayvon Thibodeaux literally has been an above average player for the Giants and has not, let me put it very clear, has not lived up to the hype when we drafted him. That's 100% valid to say. But he's been a good player, guys. The guy's literally had 21 sacks in 3 seasons. I think if you said that you would be able to go ahead and draft a player, and I'm going to guarantee you 21 sacks in 3 years, I think most would sign up for that. Like 43 games he's going to play in those, by the way. So you're talking half a sack a game, basically. I think most people would sign up for that. Oh, yeah, and by the way, he's not great at run defense, but he's not horrendous. Horrendous was Azeez Ojulari. We saw what happened when Azeez Ojulari popped in last year when Kayvon got hurt. It was ridiculous. People were running all over this team. Not they weren't doing, not that the run defense was very good to begin with, but it was horrendous when you switched Ojulari and Kayvon Thibodeaux. Now, you got the scenario of Kayvon Thibodeaux having to battle it out for sacks, basically. And he's going to have some competition for them. But how many times have you seen in a game Kayvon's this close to a sack? This close to a sack. It happened all the time. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you point blank, guys. I don't think Kayvon is going to be the double-digit sack guy. He's not going to be the second coming of LT. Like, there's nothing crazy like that. But I do think, assuming the man can stay healthy, because he's had some issues there. We had 1 of 3 seasons fully healthy. Assuming he can stay healthy, I think he's the guy who's going to get about 7-8 sacks this season. And that's 7 or 8 sacks with probably potentially a dip a little bit in plays. That's where I'm getting there. Because again, we just said he's averaging about half a sack a season. That put him at 8.5 based on a regular 17 game. His production is going to go down because of competition. There's more people trying to sack the quarterback than ever on this team. But his production is going to go also up because of the fact that you have people that he maybe running out of the pocket and everything like that because they're trying to get away from Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns, all the guys we're going to talk about later on. I think that's going to help him and hurt him at the same time, if that makes sense. I'm going to assume he gets a little hurt though. That's just when Kayvon's thing there. So like I said, I think about 7 or 8 sacks is where he's going to end up. I think he's going to be a decent player again, another solid player for us. And I think in the end, he's going to put himself in a position where there might be some contract extension talks next year. Because that's what he's playing for right now. He's going to year 4, already have year 5 picked up. Nobody likes to go into the last year of a contract, player-wise at least. No one does. So, we'll see what happens there. But I think this could be a very good and very interesting year for Kayvon Thibodeaux. Before we get to the next one here, I see you, Mac, the Giants fan. What up, Drew? What's up, man? Good to see you, man. Let's talk about the most underrated free agent signing the Giants had all off season. And I know I'm probably very high in this defense as a whole, so pardon me for getting a little excited here. But in all the moves the Giants made this offseason, fixing up the back end, 2 first-round picks, all these things that got them a lot of media attention. There's a move the Giants did that did not get a lot of media attention. And what they did is they brought the guy who had the second most sacks on the entire Cowboys roster and plucked him from the Cowboys and put him onto the Giants. Oh, yeah, and by the way, this is before they lost Micah Parsons. They lost basically any like a lot of their top sack guys. Chauncey Gholston, a guy who's going to be versatile. He can play on the line. He can play off at the edge position. And I love versatility to defense, especially with moving parts and trying to confuse people. He's a guy that last year, give you the stats here, 56 tackles, 5.5 sacks. He had 5 tackles for loss, 8 QB hits. And this is all while playing 72% of the snaps. So to give you a heads up, most guys around the high 70s, low 80s, what you see most starters at there as far as defensive snaps there. That was his first year doing that, by the way, too. And I think you're going to see that percentage go down. And I think, again, you're going to see a guy who's going to get help by people running from other people. Like that happens when you have a bunch of pass rushers. You run from one guy, you turn the other way, and there's another guy there to hit you. And I'm going to say he's going to have a year similar to what he did last year, because I think he's going to actually play up on the line and stuff under the third downs. I think you're going to see him do that. I think you're going to get from him about 40 sacks. I wish 40 sacks. 40 tackles and about 4 to 5 sacks, which from a backup player is very good. And that's why I say underrated, because this is a quality bench guy. And the scary thing is, if one of the guys get hurt, like we talked about Kayvon getting hurt all the time because he does typically miss a couple games a year. If one of the guys gets hurt, I have no issue with Chauncey Gholston popping in and being a guy you see a whole lot more. No issue whatsoever. A lot of times as a Giant fan, I used to fear players going down. I was like, oh my God, look who's behind him. This guy sucks. Chauncey Gholston is a good player, guys. And I think you got a guy here that really could be a fun backup piece, a versatile backup piece that's going to move around. And again, I think he's a good value. And again, the most underrated free agency signing of this offseason, point blank. That's what he is. Next guy, a guy that needs absolutely no introduction, but it's going to get one. The best player on the entire roster, Dexter Lawrence, Sexy Dexy, a guy who, point blank, is the best nose tackle in all of football. And you could easily make the case is the best defensive tackle in all of football. We've said it before. I've done the comparisons. The only guy that makes any sense to compare him to really is Chris Jones, who has played with a whole lot more talent. Well, last year, Dexter Lawrence's first year really having injuries, 12 games, 44 tackles, 9 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 16 QB hits. Guys, 9 sacks from a defensive tackle, nose tackle at that position. It's like unheard of. But you throw in the fact they did it in 12 games. That's insanity. Absolute insanity. That means he would have had like 12, 13, 14 sacks, somewhere in that 12 to 14 range there if he played the whole season. From the nose tackle position. I cannot stress that enough, guys. Now you're going to throw him on this defense. Fully healthy. Assuming. He's been fully healthy so far. They kind of been keeping him out to, want to get him hurt in camp and all, but he's expected to be ready to go week 1. You throw him in there with Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeaux, who was the guys who point blank took the corners off, because if you saw that a lot with Dexter Lawrence back in the day, he'd go up the middle, the quarterback and move out of the pocket. There'd be nobody there to stop him. Well, now we had people to stop him. He had Kayvon Thibodeaux. He had Brian Burns. Now you throw in Abdul Carter. Now you throw in Chauncey Gholston. But you know what's going to happen? Dexter Lawrence is going to have a monster season, guys. Monster season, point blank. Now, I expect him to be healthy because, again, he usually is healthy. That's an anomaly, so to speak, there. I expect that he's also going to be asked, though, to do a lot more run stopping because of the fact that there's a lot of guys who can rush the passer now. They're going to want him to focus because not a lot of guys can stop the run like he can. So because of that, I do think you're to see a little bit of the drop-off on the sacks from what he had last year. I don't think that's a reasonable thing to have him do with a focus on the run he's probably going to have. I think he's probably going to do somewhere in the range of probably about 65 tackles, we're going to say. We're going to say about 10 sacks, I think, is realistic, because that puts him into the range where it's less per game that he had last year, because I think he's going to focus more on the run, but it also gives him still a good, respectable number, which would, by the way, be his career high. And again, to get that kind of output from a nose tackle is unheard of. We got Rob in the building here.
It's me. I'm Rob. Showing up just on time.
Can't hear you.
It said it's me, Rob, showing up just in time. Oh, geez.
Let us know when you're in. So, yeah, again, guys, Dexter Lawrence is point blank going to have another beast season. And again, I brought it up before, and I'm going to bring it up again. At what point do we go, is Dexter Lawrence a Hall of Famer?
Is he or isn't he?
And that's where we're at. That's the level of play he's given us at this point. 3 years in a row, Pro Bowler. 2 of those 3, he's been an second team All-Pro. And in one of those 3, he's been top 10 in the voting for Defensive Player of the Year.
He's incredible. He's a good guy.
Yeah, it's like I said, a couple more years, guys, and you can start having that conversation. I'm not saying we're there yet.
Sure.
Right now, he'd probably go into the Giants Ring of Honor or something like that there potentially, but not necessarily Hall of Fame. But we're getting there. We are getting there. So, all right, Rob, do you have sound now?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
You do not have sound.
I'm going to in and out. Be right back.
I have a way of fixing this potentially. I think you just gave it live long and prosper. I think you gave us the Spock sign. I don't know what you're saying. Put it in the private chat so I can see you there. I'm going to take you off a minute till we get you all straightened out. All right. So let's get into our next guy here. And this is a guy who, quite frankly, has not performed the way a lot of us hoped he would have performed. Quite frankly, he's getting paid a whole lot more than what I would have expected, that's for sure. And give me 1 second here. You back, Rob? Rob? Nope. I see Max saying he can hear him, so I couldn't hear him, but trying to try it again. All right. Put in the chat when you're ready to go, because I think I figured out what the problem. I think it was on my end of the headphones. This is what happens when you're late. Anyway, let's talk about Rakeem Nuñez-Roches, who's a guy who's quite frankly getting paid much more than he should. Like, and I don't like to bring that into when having a discussion on, what are they going to do in the season here? But listen, there comes to the point where we can be real about it and say there are people that when they get, to the point where they're making a lot of money and they're not necessarily producing a lot, people get frustrated by it. And I get it. I do. Like you're paying the guy, well, not us, but John Mara is paying him cap number of over $5 million this year. That's insanity for what he's given us. He's played basically like a $2 or $3 million player. Point play. Now, I ain't gonna hate on him for that. Take your bag, take your money. Like, ain't nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Take your money. But what I also see is that he's not playing what I expected him to play to level-wise. Like when he was with the Bucs specifically, I'll talk about that again. I'm living in the Tampa Bay area. I saw him play quite often there. I also got to meet him as well. Really nice guy, but he was a good run stopper. That's what he was. He was a backup defensive tackle there in Tampa that you brought in specifically for how he was at stopping the run.
I went into the wrong one.
There we go. I am back in. Sorry about that, folks. We got Rob too now with us. Sheesh. I don't know what happened. My whole system went down. It was a whole lot of fun.
Drew booted everyone out.
No, you know what? My when I was trying to fix it so I could hear you because my headphone is the issue, it kicked me out. It changed me to the webcam for the freaking microphone. It changed me to all kinds of stuff. Let's see if it's actually working now. There we go. Okay. Anyway.
Hello from the other side.
Jeez. all this behind the scenes stuff. But yeah. So we're talking about Rakeem Nuñez-Roches and that he's just not that good.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think he's a guy that we just put him in the wrong position. We're trying to make him into something he's not. We're trying to make him into a player who's a good run stopper, but a full-time starter. When that's not his role. His role is to point blank be there to go ahead and help stop the run. And that's not what we're doing for whatever reason. I mean, I should say that. We have a crappy roster. That's the problem. Let's be honest. Like, we have not had the right players around him to allow him to be the guy coming off the bench. Instead, he's had to be the backup, basically, the second best defensive lineman. I'm not talking edge rusher. I'm talking about the 3 and the 3-4. Like, that's what he's been. And he's not good enough to play that role, point blank. So, yeah, let us know your thoughts while I finish setting everything up here, Rob.
Yeah, not just one of those guys. We brought him when we were very desperate for spots and roster spots, and he kind of fit a niche, and he kind of fits into that situation of players that Giants fans like to overvalue their worth. You know, Bryce Ford Wheaton kind of caliber kind of player. I mean, granted, I think he's better at his position than Bryce Ford Wheaton is, but it's also not saying much.
Well, mean, Bryce Ford-Wheaton really couldn't even make the field at all. I mean, again, I think Nacho has a role. I just think we're putting him in a bigger role than what we should for what he is.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's this. He's getting paid because of we needed him when we didn't have players in depth, and now we still have depth that much, and we still kind of need him, but you can't decrease his salary.
Yeah. Well, you could if you had that conversation, but he's going to call the bluff, say, yeah, cut me then. And then you'd be even more screwed without him.
100%.
That's the problem. That's the problem it is. So, listen, last year, stat-wise for him, 52 tackles he had in 15 games, 2 sacks. I mean, I got to be honest. That's probably a little higher than I expect him to have as a tackles because of the fact that Dexter Lawrence was out a couple games as well, and he was in a spot bigger. And I'm hoping Darius Alexander starts taking snaps away from him. I'm hoping you start seeing guys like Chauncey Gholston moving onto the line and stuff too, taking snaps away from him. And I'm hoping he goes more into what he should be, being that backup defensive tackle kind of guy.
Like a specialist backup, like someone that's like, all right, obvious run play here, or
yeah,
put him in.
Have him on first down if you want. Put him down on short yardage lines. Put him on goal line situations. Like, that's where he should be. It's third and long. Rakeem Nuñez-Roches should be nowhere near the goddamn field.
Well, yeah, right on the side of it. That's supposed to where it should be.
Yeah, on the sideline. Yes.
Yeah.
We should call it that.
The side of the field versus the line. That's where you should be.
Sounds appropriate.
Yeah.
Let's get into our next defensive lineman here, and that's Roy Robertson-Harris, a newcomer this season, played last year with the Seattle Seahawks, 11 games, just 13 tackles, no sacks, had 1 tackle for loss and 1 QB hit. And this guy is just another guy like that, another run stopper. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. You know, and I almost forgot to clarify as well. He spent some of the season there. He also spent 6 games with the Jaguars, 7 tackles there. So total Jaguars.
Yeah.
So total of 20 tackles on the season overall with 2 sacks. Because he had 2 in 6 games with the Jaguars, which is that's not a bad ratio for him. But yeah, again, like I said, I just think here's a guy with some starting ability. He's got 117 career games. He got 62 career starts overall. I just think this is a guy that we look at and go, you know what? This is another Nacho. We're not paying him as much, but it's a Nacho. It's a guy who is good at stopping the run. You maybe don't want him to be your starter,
but he has value.
Yes.
It's a cheaper value than Nacho. So
yes,
that's
like cheap Nacho. Like the ones
yeah,
the gas.
the Timu. Oh yeah, but it won't upset your stomach as much.
Yes, right next to the boiled peanuts. Let's talk about the rookie. 3rd round pick, Darius Alexander. Now, again, we got to give stats from him in college. So obviously, a rookie didn't play last year in the pros. 12 games overall, had 40 tackles, 3.5 sacks, had an interception, which you actually returned for a touchdown, which is still crazy to me. 4 passes deflected as well on top of that. So, let's say he's an athletic freak. That's what he is. He's coming from a small school, Toledo.
Toledo.
I think it's definitely Toledo, not Toledo. I could be wrong, but
could be.
Yeah. So I've been a little bit of disappointment, obviously, in the camp so far. Didn't really do much in preseason game wise because of the injury he was also facing there. You know, it's hard to say what to expect out of this kid. Didn't have much time.
No, but he's also looked pretty good so far this offseason. So
I've heard mixed. The game, his tape wasn't bad necessarily the last game, but in camp and all, people were really disappointed with him. And again, I think that's the injury. You can't judge a guy off his injury.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to go 110% in practice, especially coming off an injury and being injured.
And everybody has to give it 110%.
Yeah. So what if you're hurt? Yeah. Rub some dirt on it.
Are you injured?
Yeah. Rub some dirt on it. You'll be all right, kid.
Oh, yeah. Those days. They can't do that anymore. Now it has to be non-GMO antiseptic and all.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think obviously starting off as a backup. I think you kind of see him go in, especially in passing downs. I think you'll see him a little bit more because he's got that ability to rush the passer. He's a little more of an agile big guy there. I do think what's going to end up happening is you see him kind of increasing his role as the season goes, assuming that's correct. And he starts taking snaps away from Robertson-Harris and Nacho and these guys like that. That's what you want to see.
Yeah, progression through the year. 100%.
Yeah. But it makes it very difficult to judge where you think he's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, listen, everyone wants to see a jump like what Tracy had last year. I mean, to assume that he's going to be the number one starter next year is probably not going to happen. But like to be with that utility guys alternating in and out of starts and positional downs, like that's something we could see. But you're not going to see that from week one.
No, and that's what I'm saying. I think you see the progression. I think you probably end up with a season where he has maybe 20 tackles and like 2 or 3 sacks, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like that's probably what's in the cards for him there. But my hope is that he plays his way onto the field a whole lot more because I like this kid coming to college. But I'm trying to temper the expectations because of the injury, because of the fact that he didn't look great at times in camp and all. I'm trying to temper the expectations. But
you must temper them.
I liked him coming out of college. So I got to hope that that's what sticks there. So we'll see. All right. Next up, we got a guy that is the $30 million man.
The $30 million man.
I have to call him that every time. Brian Burns, which says nothing after what Micah Parsons got.
Excellent.
Still, yes, he does own a nuclear power plant in Springfield. Last season, 17 games, 71 tackles, 8.5 sacks, and doing that, I should say, also while he's injured basically the whole year.
With a banged up team.
Loss, 18 QB hits. Like he had a slow start, I thought. I remember the first couple games we were complaining because he just wasn't doing anything, basically. But he got rolling and he got going. And he got going and rolling while being hurt. Like I said, there was times you listen to the guys who were actually in the media, in the locker room after the game, and they can see how hurt he was. And he just kept on going. It's all 17 games. Even the BS last couple ones against the Eagles, against the Colts, like he kept going. He's going to be 27 years old this year too. Now he's starting the prime of a pass rusher. That late 20s, early 30s is the prime of a pass rusher. Now, he's never really been the double-digit sack guy. That's fine. He's a really good run stopper. Like
he's always had that potential to be the double-digit sack guy. That's what you've heard.
This close. Yeah. He's that 8 to 9 kind of guy usually. And
listen, if he can still get 8 to 9 this year, and if this defense all gets like that 8 or 9 plus, like it's going to be a lot of sacks.
Yeah, more sacks than a party at the Playboy Mansion. But I mean, I would say it's probably going to be another year like he had. I think he's going to be counted a lot to stop the run. I think he's going to have about 70 tackles again. Keep in mind healthy, which means he'd be better off. But I think he gets a slight notch in the sacks. I think he'll have like 9 sacks or 9.5 sacks. I think he'll just hit shy of that double-digit number. He's only done that once. That was back in 22. He had 12.5 sacks. So I don't think it's realistic, especially with all the competition there, to expect him to go double-digit.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at for. Like, I mean, so to say you get 8 sacks out of him, you get 8 sacks out of Thibodeaux, and you get 8 sacks out of Carter. Like that's in a lot. But before you know it, you got 24 sacks.
Yeah, out of 3 people. And like I said, I do think we're going to hit a high number of sacks this year. That's with this talent. It's barring crazy injuries. That's a given. Like we should. Even taking Carter out of it, which we'll get to him in a little bit, even taking him out of it because we have no clue what he is or isn't. This is still a damn good team for rushing the quarterback. It was last year. I have no reason to expect it not to be again.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But again, he's an all-around player. And I love the fact that he played hurt last year in a year that, quite frankly, didn't matter. And
shut up and work every day.
$30 man, but it don't matter. I have no problem with you getting paid when you're doing your thing. And you're doing it while hurt in a year that doesn't matter. You're earning that money.
Yeah. You have to. You have to show what New York. Why are we spending all this money? Like, come on and play. Come on and play.
It was spent well. It was spent well. He was a good player. So, all right, let's get to the guy that everybody's all excited about, Abdul Carter. Again, we got to give last year's stats from college because he's a rookie. 16 games was 68 tackles, 24 tackles for loss, 12 sacks, 4 passes deflected, 2 forced fumbles. Absolute insane numbers to have as a guy who's a first-year edge player. Like, we got to point that out. He never played edge like that before that. He was a linebacker, and they moved him over to edge. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I can't think of a guy who literally moves over like that in college. And this is what part of makes the Micah Parsons comparison, as Parsons was a linebacker in college, moved over to edge in the NFL, and went all batshit crazy. But to do what he's doing last year at Penn State is remarkable. And people are excited because you see it in everybody who went to training camp raves about this kid and how good he is, as far as a player, speedy, has all the moves like you wouldn't expect of a guy who only played the position for 1 year. Like, he's got a lot of that down when he shouldn't. Quite frankly, shouldn't have it down.
Yeah, he's just a natural talent out there. Like when we saw him in the warm-ups when we went to the game a couple weeks ago, like it was something else. It was nice to see. He understands the swim moves. He understands and how to get around different players, and he makes it look very easy.
Yeah, he does, point blank. And that being said, there's people that are doing all kinds of crazy stuff. He's projected to be the defensive player, rookie of the year again. By the way, they just had an article I saw on that recently. It's like the third or fourth time we've seen somebody in the media say he's going to be the rookie defensive player of the year. I don't know about that, guys. Just because of the sheer number of people he's going to play alongside. Like we talked about it a minute ago, Burns. There's only so many sacks to go around.
Yeah.
And Carter is going to be a guy that pick and choose where he goes and stuff like that. Like, he's going to have to figure out his spots. He's going to probably play the linebacker position sometimes. He'll probably play edge. You see Kayvon move up to the defensive end position at times at that point. In fact, Kayvon's listed, by the way, as a defensive end,
which is very interesting.
So this tells you, we didn't see a lot of Abdul Carter in the preseason at all. I know a lot of people were overly hyped in the little bit we did see. Obviously the first game against Buffalo, he got more hype than I've ever seen a player get off of just, 3 pass rushes. Oh my God, he got 3 pass rushes and 3 pass attempts. Like, stop. It was a really good game. Don't get me wrong, and I want to take it away from him. And I'm not trying to be the negative Nancy. People say we're too negative all the time with these players. It's not being negative. It's being realistic. He's a rookie.
Yeah, it's a rookie, and you saw like the Buffalo game. You saw 3 plays, 3 snaps. It's not like he played the 3 downs or 3 quarters. Or he played 3 downs, but it's not like he played 3 quarters or it was 3 games. You saw 3 snaps, and it was like, yeah, it was good, but sometimes you have 3 great snaps and you have 5 terrible snaps.
Yeah.
And he just had a nut of a good one.
And sometimes you just got to realize that and say that's what this is. This was a rookie game by a kid who probably came out more excited to play than the guy he was playing against, who quite frankly didn't want to be on the field probably. And again, he's going to have a good year. I think he's going to look solid. I really do. I'm looking at him being a guy who's going to get like 45, 50 tackles. I think like 7 or 8 sacks. Like, I think he's going to still have a presence felt. But I don't think he's going to have that Parsons like rookie year that people are expecting for 2 reasons. One, it's unlikely. It's just not normal. Like, that's not what people typically do. And 2, Micah Parsons moved to full-time edge because they didn't have any who could rush the passer like him. They would charge him at the quarterback every play they got because nobody else really could get to the quarterback. Abdul Carter is going to be in coverage sometimes as a linebacker, guys. Abdul Carter has to face competition for sacks from Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeaux, Chauncey Gholston. Who knows who else is going to be out there at that point, getting sacks.
Everyone.
That's an issue that that Micah Parsons, quite frankly, never had to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, everywhere he went, he didn't have competition like Carter has competition.
Yeah.
And Dallas' defense was pretty good when he got there, but nothing like. But yeah, the talent was way different. It was just better, really good coaching at the time.
Yeah, and a great defensive system with Dan Quinn, like you said, the great coaching, and we don't know what to still think as far as Shane Bowen. I mean, there's a lot of guys, a lot of y'all want Shane Bowen gone last year. Thought he had a horrible issue for some reason with the defense, even though the defense was completely injured and still was not the problem compared to the offense. But
yeah,
we've said enough. Won't beat that dead horse again. But like I said, I think Abdul Carter has a good rookie season. I don't think it's a record-breaking rookie season. I don't think it's going to be oh my God, this kid's the second coming LT. I think it's just going to be, this is a really good player. We're excited to have him. And there's nothing wrong with that. And if it's anything extra than that, great. Happy to have that problem. That's a great thing to have, is, oh, I was wrong. This kid is the second coming LT. Great. Bring it on.
Yeah.
I'd love another LT.
LT, here we go. Just
Not
stay away from the drugs.
Yeah, it's not realistic, though. And yes, you need to stay away from the cocaine and the underage girls. It's a whole other issue.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the off-ball linebackers here. So, got to start, of course, with Bobby Okereke. So, last year, Bobby, 12 games, 93 tackles, had 2 fumble recoveries, 3 forced fumbles, 3 passes deflected, and let's see here, he had 2 sacks, 2 QB hits, and 6 tackles for loss. Nothing compared to the 149 tackles he had the year before.
Yeah.
But he was also hurt. And the crazy thing is, if you go based on what he did per game, 12 games, 93 tackles, 17 games, 149. It's not that far off while being hurt.
Which is going to be a recurrent thing. We'll talk about a lot of players were hurt last year.
A lot of players were hurt.
Yeah. Okereke, he's one of those guys. He's sits down, gets his grind. He was one of 3 players 2 years ago to play every down in every game. So he was dominant 2 years ago. He was pretty damn good last year, like you just said, why he was banged up.
Yeah. And you saw it towards the end of the year. We talked about how we thought he was kind of dogging it at times. It looked like on plays, and then we find out later on he was injured. He was battling through an injury. So I kind of felt like a schmuck, but that's a whole separate thing.
We should anyway.
I'm a schmuck. It is what it is. But there he was still playing. Again, 93 tackles. It's a good year for most people. He had it in 12 games. And this is the year he's got to ball out. Again, we hate bringing up contracts when it comes to what we expect and what the outlook is. But Bobby Okereke is a guy they were already rumored to say, oh, maybe Darius Muasau can do what you do, which is, first off, batshit crazy. Let me just say that out loud.
Yeah. Sounds silly hearing it again.
But it's all about the money, because we had a low cap number for him this year and last year. His only cap number is $4.3 million his first year, 6.7 last year. Well, it shot up to 14.5 basically this year, and the same next year. This year, the Giants, unless they did a post-June 1st, couldn't have saved anything by getting rid of him. Next year, they can save $9 million when you have a $5.5 million cap hit. So, yeah, he's going to have to ball out if he wants to be a Giant. Because
I'd have to assume he will.
I'd have to assume so, too. I mean, he's going to be only 29. He's at that peak right now. We're going on. That peak's only got a couple more years to go, but he's at that peak right now where I think he has another year. I think the big thing would be have him do a really good year. Like we're all hoping, again, he's a Giant. We root for every Giant, regardless of contract situations. Have him have a really good year. And then next year, look to extend him and just rip the contract up basically and start new.
Pretty fair.
Say, listen, I got one more year on this year. We're gonna rip this up and give you a 3-year, $40 million contract or whatever.
Yeah, and then Okereke says, hopefully, yes, check, sign, and get.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? It all depends on what he's looking for, how good a year he has, and so many variables to even have that discussion now. But that's what I think. As far as what we're thinking numbers wise, I'm going to throw out there that he has 150 tackles this year and goes back to his old self, which would be in line with what he did the last 2 prior years. For last year in Indy and his first year with the Giants.
Yeah, I don't know if I could go 150, but it's at least I'm going to say at least like in that 125 ballpark, because there's also going to be a lot more. I don't think he's going to see as many players come up as he has between the front of the line. So that might take away, which is okay, because as long as the contact's still there when it does happen, and it's less, but it's still good play, then I'm okay with that.
I think my big thing with him, and as far as stats, is also going to be, are the Giants going to play better on offense? And is that going to make them throw the ball more against the Giants, which will maybe hurt him as far as his tackles too?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a definite possibility, but he's also decent in coverage. So again, I think he'll still get close to that 150 mark there. So we'll find out. We'll find out. 150, 125. Either one's a good number, so I'll take it. So, all right, guys, we're gonna pay the bills real quick, and then we'll be right back at that point there to go ahead and finish up.
Thanks for watching. Like the show? Of course you do, or you would have turned it off by now and not be hearing me. There are plenty of ways to support the show. YouTube is the best place to join us, and we offer memberships there with fun benefits like custom emojis and early access to video clips. Of course, there you can also send super chats and stickers to send one-time support payments. The best way to support the show is to buy these drunk idiots beers at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Along with one-time support payments, there are also monthly plans, so you can continue to help kill their livers each month. You can also show people that you are a goofball by visiting our store at 2giantgoofballs-shop.fourthwall.com. We got everything from shirts, hats, phone cases, funny candles, buttons, stickers, and even a 2 Giant Goofballs towel to dry off your goofballs. Of course, you can always support the show for free by simply hitting the like, subscribe, and share button wherever you are watching or listening to this. Hit the thumbs up on YouTube. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It helps the show tremendously, and quite frankly, the goofballs suck at marketing and need your help to get the word out. Thank you for being part of the Goofball Army and for taking the time out to support the show.
All righty, guys. Let's get into the next linebacker here. A guy that has improved every season here. Micah McFadden entering his 4th.
Oh, geez. Am I delayed? Is that Drew? Oh, geez. Frozen here. Drew.
Up there you are.
I can hear you now.
What happened there? Geesh, we're having all kinds of freaking fun technical difficulties today.
Offside cheated. Woof.
Oh, it was mine too gone. We both left for a minute there. So, but anyway, so Micah McFadden. So we got to go ahead and talk about, like I said, the fact that his contract is going to be up at the end of the year. You got Bobby Okereke at that point there, who is going to be, a big cap number and a potential loss next year. We'll have to find out. But in the meantime there, let's talk about what's going to happen, especially with Micah McFadden this year. So last year, 107 tackles in 14 games, had a forced fumble, pass deflected, fumble recovery, 3 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 6 QB hits. Good year. He's a good player, you guys. The issue with him is always been he's not necessarily a guy that's a full-time player, because you are going to take him off in certain passing situations. That's what he is.
Yeah, he's just one of those guys that are he's a special talent. That's what it comes down to. He's not reliable as 100% snap kind of guy. Keep him 60% of the snaps, and he usually plays a little bit better. But
I mean, he played 75% even last year. Now, granted, some of that was because of the injuries. I think that 75% is probably where you want him. He did 69% the year before. I think that's probably around where you want him. And
sure, that's where he wants to be.
Well, he wants to be the 80-90, probably, to be honest with you. Imagine how many tackles he'd have then. He'd get in a much bigger contract. But like I said, I just think that you just got to take him out during the spots specifically, like the bigger, like, obvious, like third and long situations or 2-minute drills, like those kind of things. You might not want him in there because he is somebody who necessarily isn't the best at defending the pass.
Yeah.
It is what it is. There's plenty of guys that they have specialties, what they're good at, what they're bad at. So, I don't think there's anything wrong with that whatsoever.
No, if you got a niche, you got a niche. And it's like, he definitely will probably have drop back in plays, just kind of like what you said before. Like, if our offense is actually putting up points and you have teams that are actually playing from behind and not blowing us out, the chances of them throwing the ball more often is up there, which means he's going to be out of McFadden's. It's not going to be there on many plays.
Correct. But again, you got to also look at when he did 107 tackles last year. He did it in 14 games. But you're also, like you said, he's gonna have the passing opportunities gone. You see also Abdul Carter going there as a linebacker. Now, who do you think is coming off the field when Abdul Carter comes on as an off-ball linebacker? Not going to be Bobby Okereke.
That doesn't make sense.
No, exactly. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to say he stays right around the 100 tackle mark still, because I think he improves a little this year. I think he goes down to like 16, like high 60s to 70%. I think he loses a little bit, but he's also on for hopefully all 17 games, as opposed to 14 games last year, and then equals some of that out. So, like I said, I'll put him right around that 100 tackle mark there.
Yeah, I agree. Like the high 90s, like low, the 100 tackle mark is probably fair, especially because like if you take that out, and I know you love doing your math, like you probably would add 130 tackles if you play in 17 games compared to, or 125, whatever it is. Well, but he's going to have. I think he's going to play, hopefully, if he plays 17 games, to have less tackles, because he's probably not going to be on the field as much percentage-wise. It's just like we just said. I think there's been clear improvement in his play.
Yep.
But with the niches and how it's going to, like you said, Abdul Carter is going to be stepping in that position when it's a third and long kind of scenario. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah, and I did the math for you. Yes, it was 130 tackles, what he would have been at.
Did I Raymond that?
Exactly. It's 129.93. That's how close you were to exact. Raymond, that's the be a good year for him. Listen, be a guy that Giants are going to have to make a decision on, because he's going to get some offers there if they don't sign him. Like, he's not a guy that's going to sit around. He's a linebacker who gets tackles. Now, it doesn't mean I'm not saying he's a top-end free agent, but I'm saying somebody will be interested.
So,
somewhere. So,
somewhere out there.
Let's get to Darius Muasau, a guy that I gotta say was a surprise last year. I thought you don't expect much out of a 6th-round pick. Let's be honest.
No,
you have very low expectations of a 6th-round pick. Here's the guy who comes in.
You make the practice squad.
15 games, 7 starts on that 15 games, 55 tackles, has a pass deflected, an interception, which for half the year he was the leader in interceptions on the Giants, because he only had the one. That was the only one we had for the whole team. 3 tackles for loss, 1 QB hit. Again, I don't think he's going to be a really good player. Let me be very clear on that. But I think he's a legitimate depth piece potentially. And if you get that out of the 6th round, that's nice.
Yeah. And that's, I want to disagree with you a little bit somewhere here, but no, I have to agree. Like, it's somewhere that his ceiling might be like an alternating starter kind of person, but I think he's a depth piece. Like, you see him starting the game, it's probably because of an injury. I don't think he's the guy that's you're going to look at and he's going to lead the NFL making a Pro Bowl.
Yeah. No,
but you're going to stick him out on the field. He's not going to embarrass himself and the team.
That's the key. You want people you can put in for a couple of games in case of an injury and not embarrass themselves. They may be a step down from a Bobby Okereke, which most people are, let's be honest, but they're not going to embarrass the hell out of each other. And that's the big thing. And he also, of course, you have the special teams part as well. He was on 63% of special team snaps last year. So he's doing a big part there. So, I mean, that's a decent amount there. So, yeah, like I said, I think he's a kid that's got a role in this team. And his role right now is 3.5 linebacker. I'm going to call it that way because Abdul Carter, 3.5.
That's fair.
Yeah, because I don't know where you want to put Abdul Carter on the depth chart as far as off-ball linebacker. Let's be honest. Let's see if Micah McFadden gets hurt, hypothetically. Would Muasau start or would Abdul Carter start? I don't know.
70-30 to Carter.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm saying he's linebacker 3.5.
Yeah.
But like I said, he's got a role. And he's going to be on this team, especially on a cheap contract like this. He'll be on the team for a while because he's a good special teamer and he could actually play defense.
Yeah.
So let's talk about two guys who are special teamers that can't play defense. We're going to combine these two in this segment here. Chris Board and Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles, because quite frankly, this is tomato. They are the same exact player, basically. Let's call it what it is. Last year, Chris Board with the Ravens, 17 games, 30 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, a QB hit, and ended up playing, let's see here, just 15% of defensive snaps was 80% of their special team snaps. Demetrius Flannigan-Fowles last year with the 49ers, 12 games, 17 tackles, 2 passes deflected, 1 tackle for loss, and 20% of the defensive snaps, 59% of the special team snaps. You see the theme we have going on, right?
Special people for special teams.
They're special teamers. That's what they are. I mean, these are like almost like the Carter Coughlins of the world. That's what they are now. The great thing about these, why I do actually like these two guys being on the team, is you have two guys coming from winning franchises, teams that have won, teams that can tell you point blank what that team did,
and how to set up a path to a Super Bowl run, and not just.
Well, I don't know if the Ravens and 49ers go on Super Bowl runs too much. Well,
I'm saying you get the road there, they kind of know how to get there. Not saying they necessarily get there. Yeah, but I'm saying how many times have you seen Lamar Jackson and MVP candidate role because how he led the team to the playoffs and get into the AFC championships or right around there instead of just hitting the walk hard or.
He's won, I think, 2 playoff games in his career now. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. They're not the best necessarily in the postseason, but I think Giants fans would be crazy to say they wouldn't trade places with the Ravens of the last 5 years compared to the Giants of the last 5 years.
I think it's very relevant.
Yeah, they've been one of the better regular season teams. It's just they haven't quite gotten to the postseason, but the Giants have to figure out how to get done in the regular season to be able to get to the postseason.
Yeah.
And the Niners, again, they haven't won a Super Bowl, but they've gotten to a couple of Super Bowls this last decade. So, I mean, again, these are guys coming from winning teams that bring with them what those winning teams did to make them winning teams. There's a role for them there. It's kind of like part mentor / special teamer.
Yeah. Hey, kid, this is what we used to do back in my old team.
Back in my days, we went to
the damn hooligans.
But I don't. It's funny because, by the way, they're age-wise. I should clarify. One's 28, one's 29, so they're not even old players. But it's these are guys that they have that role. That's what their role is, and that's why we said it when we talked about our initial predictions for the roster, where we were 100% right by the linebacker position. We had our issues elsewhere, but with the linebacker position, we were 100% right. because you had Muasau, who was an actual linebacker, because you had Carter, who was a guy who could play linebacker, you had these two guys who were purely special teamers that you can put on the team, knowing it didn't matter about them playing defense, because you had 4 guys who could play linebacker before you even had to go ahead and put any of those guys in the field. And at a pinch, if you have to, you have to. But this is where they're at there. And like I said, special teams, one of those things. I know it's not sexy. I know it's not fun, but it's still an important part of the process.
It's a very important part.
Yeah. If it wasn't important, we wouldn't be talking about how pissed we were the last couple of years when Graham Gano got hurt. We didn't have a kicker. That's proof positive right there. So we got 2 good veteran special teamers that can bring something from culture-wise from 2 winning franchises the last couple of years there, and they have a role. Not a big role, but they got a role. So that's why we're limping.
Know your role.
Know your role. Can you smell what the Rob is cooking?
Oh, it is ribs and burgers.
Ooh, ribs sound good.
And a porterhouse.
Ooh. I have some flan to eat when I'm done with this.
Ooh.
Homemade flan. Which, by the way, I made the reference today. I don't know why I never thought of this before. Flan is basically like a Jell-O version of creme brulee.
I guess, yeah. I have no rebuttal.
It's really good, though. All right, Christopher Tony in the chat. He says, hello, guys, and everyone in the chat. What's good? What's good, man?
No, Christopher.
All right, let's get on to the corners here. So, first off, we got the guy who was brought here point blank to be our number 1 CB, which is a position we didn't really have last year. Paulson Adebo. Only played in 7 games last year. For those of you who've been living in the whole last year and a half or so, he basically broke his leg. I mean, let's call it what it is. Broke his leg at the same time here. In those 7 games, he had 52 tackles, which is one thing that's a little scary. That's a very high number for 7 games for a corner to have a tackles. 43 of which were solo. So it wasn't like he was running to help people. So yeah, that's not a good sign right there.
Yeah.
And he did have 3 interceptions though. That's what this kid is. He's a ball hawk corner, and that's something the Giants haven't had in many years now. I mean, let's be honest. Deonte Banks can't even turn his head when the ball comes his way. So, speaking of turning his head, what are you doing?
Sorry.
But yeah, this is a kid that if he's good and if he's as advertised, he's still just gonna be 26 years old. So we're getting prime time for him because late 20s is kind of prime for a corner. We get all the prime years in this deal, and if he's healthy, he is the number 1 corner.
Yeah, when healthy. And you brought up, so he's got a very high number of tackles. So, I mean, when you're a corner and you have high number of tackles, that means, especially solo tackles, it typically means balls were deflected or intercepted. So,
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's also the guy that comes up, stops, gets a tackle on a runner. He's the guy that gets up. He does go out there, but it's just also something you have to, put in consideration. But hands down, he's our number 1. So,
yeah, I mean, he's definitely number 1. The problem is really there's no number 2, really, if you want to be honest about it. Yeah, Banks, we're not a big fan of necessarily. Not necessarily a big fan of.
Well, I was going to say he's listed number 2, but I mean, if you want to go right to Banks, I mean,
talk about that. The depth chart, they actually have them now both at number 1. That's what the Giants have right now. For the depth chart, they put both those guys at number 1 for CB2. But what I'm getting at is if he gets hurt again, or if he's not his usual self because of the injury, or he's not his usual self because he has to play CB1 when he's basically been a CB2 his whole career, we're kind of screwed. Like in the topic of most important people on defense, Paulson Adebo might be number 1 because there's no one else without him. Like, there's nobody else in this defense I can go, oh, this guy gets hurt, we are absolutely screwed. Like, don't get me wrong, Dexter Lawrence get hurt, yeah. You lose the best nose tackle in all football. That's bad. But you have guys who can play the defensive line. Like Paulson Adebo gets hurt, you are screwed. Paulson Adebo's not as good as you think he's going to be. You're screwed.
Yeah. The secondary's on its own lonely island, and there ain't a lifeboat out there to save them.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're going to have to figure out what they're going to do at the corner position in the long term. Like I said, there's still some question past Adebo. We just got to hope in the meantime he's healthy. And
knock on wood.
If he's healthy, he's going to get 3-4 interceptions, which would be huge. That probably doubles our amount from last year. Without even looking at it real quick. And as a guy who's going to have about 50, 60 tackles. That's what he usually averages there. So we just got to hope that he is as good as we think he is. And he's as healthy as he can be.
Yeah. Not good for injuries. Boop, boop.
All right. Let's get to the next guy here. So we got Deonte Banks we got to talk about here. The guy who just seems to have a neck injury. I don't know if he has the same injury Daniel Jones has because he can't turn his goddamn head around.
He got whiplash last time he did that.
Sanity, And again, we've talked about it before where, first round pick, we thought he should have been a second round pick. We threw him last year to being CB1 when he wasn't ready. Clearly wasn't ready. Like we all know he wasn't ready. But he had the attitude problem. And that's where I can't put it on the Giants because the attitude problem is not the Giants.
No, he was acting like a spoiled kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let off plays, just overall like not being a good sport about this whole situation.
And he's the guy that, again, he's got all the physical talent in the world. Like we all know that part of it. He's got all the physical talent in the world. But for whatever reason, he just can't seem to get it together. Has issues with where he goes during the defensive plays, being off assignment there. He expecting help that isn't necessarily there. There's a lot of things he does that it's just like, what are you doing, dude? And we've said it before, where it's like he seems to be that guy who's to be able to make it based on pure physical ability, and it sounds like that's kind of run its course, and now he's at this next level, and he can't make it on pure physical ability anymore.
Yeah, the NFL, it's physical ability and talent. There's no way around that. That's sir.
And I feel like there's also the part of it you have to consider is the fact that people always go, "Oh, well, he played better when he was in press coverage with Wink," and people love saying that and basically saying Shane Bowen's playing him out of where he should be. Guys, go back and look at that first year, rookie year he had. He got interceptions towards the end of the year when he went to zone coverage.
Yep.
That's not to say he can't play press man. That's not to say he doesn't play better at press man, but he can play both. He can play both. And that's why the Giants drafted him, because he can do both. He's very good at press coverage because he's very strong. But again, he's a kid who can also play the zone. And that's where he got his interceptions. So I'm not going to blame the defensive scheme on his issues. I'm going to blame point blank the Giants are putting him in a spot he wasn't ready for, and him just having the attitude issues in the process too.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both.
Yeah. I do think, and maybe I'm wrong in this, but I do think he'll start off the year as a starter. I think he's going to lose his starting job during the year. So I can't even give you a number of what I think he's going to do. Because here's part of it. I don't want to put it out there even. I want to be wrong about this kid. I want to hope that something clicks in his brain here this offseason, and all of a sudden he starts turning his head. All of a sudden starts doing the things you have to do as a corner. But he hasn't played that way so far.
Yeah, and it's concerning because even during drills, you don't really see him turning around. Nope. You know the kind of play was happening. Around. Every now and then you need to see the ball coming for the the receiver turn around.
It's bad.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think he's gonna end up being CB3 before the year is up. And
if he doesn't change anything, and that's the point I was going to make before when I was going the rant. Like, I was surprised he said he's listening to CB1. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if,
well, last year he to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, this year's changed. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was him and Flott listening to CB2.
That's what I'm saying. They're both CB2 in the depth chart right now. Literally, if you go to the Giants website, both of them are literally taking up the first team spot for CB2. They have not named a starter. They probably won't until
probably not Sunday morning.
Yeah, Sunday morning the league.
Yeah,
guys.
As long as like they can.
Am I gonna have to face Cordell Flott or Deontay Banks? Ooh,
yeah.
Shaking in my boots.
But you also got there's a big difference between the two players because you got one that came in thinking he's going to be all this, all that, and a bag of potato chips, if you will.
Yeah,
and he expected the job handed to him and with that handout, and you got a guy like Cordell Flott who just been working his ass off nonstop.
Yeah, and he's gotten better each year. He's gotten more snaps each year. So let's get into Cordell Flott because we're kind of already melding the two together as it is. So last year, 14 games, 53 tackles, 2 tackles for loss there in the process. Had 1 interception, which I think tied for the team lead probably. Oh my gosh. And again, like I said, he's got more and more snaps as his career has gone on. His rookie year, he had 45% of defensive snaps, 56 second year, and last year 74%. So practically considered a starter, basically. He had the highest PFF grade of any player on defense in the preseason for the Giants. And he was also hurt and missed time during the preseason as well, so we didn't get the full snaps of his comrades there. But it's still something. Still something. And, I don't know. Maybe I'm just bitter about Banks, but I want to see Flott out there.
You're definitely bitter about Banks, but I'm also like I like to see a success story, the Cinderella story, if you will, and that's Flott. Like the guy is just coming to work every day, work his butt off, rising to the ranks, and it's paying off for him.
Yeah.
So like,
nothing wrong with the crap you do.
Yeah, I mean, injury partly. I think he will probably be the starter towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm hoping he gets the route back. I think he's earned it with what they did in camp there. But I do think that in the end, because Banks is that first round pick, he's gonna have to wait his time and wait for Banks to mess up, and then they get frustrated and put him in.
Yeah. So you're saying in the end, it doesn't even matter.
Oh my God. I tried so hard and got so far.
In the end.
I put my trust in you. We get off the Lincoln Park here. I don't know what to say as far as Flott, though. He's like the same as Banks. I think both of them it's impossible to give you a number of what they're going to do because both of them, I don't know how many games they're going to start.
Yeah, especially if they're interchangeable. Like it's to be continued.
I can't do
it. Sunday post game to be continued.
Yeah, there we go. All right, let's talk about a guy who's another pleasant surprise from the rookie class last year, and that's Dru Phillips, whichever we want to call him. Why we like to call him Drew, and not just because it's a good name. 14 games last year. Had a total of 71 tackles, 1 sack, 1 interception, 1 pass deflected, 2 forced fumbles there, and even got a QB hit. This kid was something special, I thought, last year. Like
all over the field.
Weirdly enough, you know what his biggest downfall was pass coverage. Like that's the weird part. He's a nickel corner. And his worst thing was pass coverage, which we said going into we drafted him. Like when we scouted him and everything, we saw like this is a kid who's gonna need some time, a little development on the actual, mechanics of coverage. But what we didn't know was the heart this kid had. They're running like a missile towards a running back, like his body just doesn't matter. being that guy who just runs all over the place, hunts the ball down, and hits the guy with it. Like you can't teach that. You either got that mentality, or you don't. He got that.
Oh, he got big time.
Yeah. So he is definitely the nickel corner, starting nickel corner. He is definitely the only guy you want seeing playing nickel corner the entire roster. Let me be very clear on that. This is definitely a position where if he gets hurt, we're like, I don't know who goes up there. I guess whoever loses the Banks and Flott battle at that point. You probably move Flott in. Flott probably the better suit of the two. But listen, you got to hope he continues to improve. You got to hope he continues to get better. We talked about he looked really good in camp. He had that LASIK eye surgery.
He's loving it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they've talked about. LASIK eye surgery is he can see better. And he said it multiple times during interviews how much better he can see. He didn't realize how much it was affecting his play. So, hopefully that's a big part of this because, I'd love to see this kid be as a ball hawk that actually gets interceptions.
I would love to see him play
interceptions.
I would love to see him to quadruple.
See the ball, be the ball. Think fast, be fast. By the way, you hear they're making a Chad Powers TV series?
It's fantastic.
They really are. I'm not even lying. That's the scary part. A Chad Powers TV series. But yeah, like I said, Dru Phillips here. I think again he's going to start. I think he's going to go up to about 75 tackles. I think you're going to see just a slight increase there, but nothing too crazy. My big thing is I do think he's going to get 3 interceptions. I'm going to say this year, which I think is realistic. Nothing too crazy. I think that's realistic.
I went crazy. I said quadruple what he had last year.
Who 4? Oh my! All right, next up, Nick Jones, former Chief. Here last year with the Chiefs, he had 1 game. That's all his stats. 1 game. No defensive snaps and 9 snaps on special teams. Now the year before, he was 9 games, so he had, definitely had some more. That's for sure than what he had the year before. Listen, the Giants like this kid a lot. I wish I could tell you why. I don't see what they see personally. But yeah, I mean, he's a special teams guy. Maybe that's what it is. Back to special teams, but I just literally in 2 years he's had 67 plays on defense.
Yeah.
And we got rid of guys like Trey Hawkins and people like that actually had experience on defense. Not to say Trey Hawkins was what some people thought he was that rookie year in training camp. He obviously wasn't. But I don't know.
He's going to be the best 6th-round pick ever.
Oh my God. People were insane on that. Like I said, I just don't know. I don't know what to think of him right now. He's still young, obviously, taking a lot of playing time in the regular season. We're going to have to see what he is. But I got to hope he's the guy who mostly plays special teams. We just don't see him too much on defense.
Yeah.
So
it's special teams, and that's about it. Practice.
Yeah.
Not even practice squad, but special teams.
That's it. So I'm going to say, let's get five tackles and 1 interception, maybe, just to be nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to be nice.
2 games.
2 games. Oh my gosh. All right, next up, Art Green. 9 games last year for us. The big one was the Steelers game where he actually took over for Deonte Banks when he got sat down for whatever the hell happened on the sidelines. 7 tackles, 1 forced fumble on the season there. Ended up with 46 snaps on defense and overall 207 on special teams. So that's a special teamer guy. But he's a guy that's shown he can play corner if he needed to.
Yeah.
But and he's still 25.
He's a young special 25.
Young. When I was a young warthog.
Pumbaa.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know what to think fully of Art Green. Like I said, I liked him in the little bit we've seen him on defense. We haven't seen enough of a sample size to get too much of an opinion on him. So I'm okay with him being on the roster. I like him being on the roster because we saw he potentially could be a decent backup corner based on what he did against the Steelers in the one game we really saw a lot of action. But I can't get excited about him either.
No, it is what it is. He's a backup that's a special teamer. Like, there's not sure you can say about him.
Yeah. So,
Like, if he's your starting corner, a lot of things have gone wrong.
well, you know what? I'm misremembering what game it was. That was the Ravens game, is the one we saw him in. It was the Ravens game. Just wanted before somebody goes, "Oh, he's in the wrong game." You know somebody would. But yeah, like I said, I think he looked decent. So I think that he's the guy that you put him in there, you see what you got. He's the bottom end kind of piece, depth piece wise there. My concern is that we really don't have anybody that's not bottom end depth piece. Let's be honest, whoever loses the Flott Banks battle is our best backup corner and the only one I really want to see in the defense.
That's very fair. That's legit.
Yeah.
Where it's going to be at. And I don't think I'm going to admit to anyone losing that job. It's going to go back and forth.
Yeah. I just, like I said, I don't know. I don't know where to go there. Now they do have TJ Moore listed also still on the roster. Again, he obviously is not going to play all year after his injury he had the last year against the Patriots there. So we'll move right on for him. Let's go right into the corner. Let's start right into the safeties. First one is Javon Holland, Mr. Off again, on again himself. Obviously played last year with the Miami Dolphins, 15 games last year, 62 tackles overall, had 0 interceptions. So he fits right in with the Giants. 4 passes deflected, 2 tackles for loss, 2 QB hits, and 1 sack. And guys, that was a bad year for him overall. And that seems to be the predominant, like, good year, bad year, good year, bad year is what he's kind of been there at that point there. So last year was his 4th year, which was a bad year. So this year should be a good year by all accounts.
Fingers crossed.
So, but he's a really good guy as far as coverage. And that's something I think we've been missing for quite a while. This is a guy that point blank, anybody you need to go ahead and cover tight end wise, he can do it.
Which is what we've been missing for a long time.
Yes. For years. This is before the Brian Dable era, even. Like, it's been years since we've had somebody who can really legitimately cover a tight end. And I am very curious to see what that does to this defense. Because we haven't had that guy in so long. I don't know what it's like.
It's going to be weird to see like a tight end not get 100 yards against us.
Yeah. Now, interception-wise, you don't expect a lot of picks. He literally has 5 career interceptions in 4 years. So he's not that guy. He's not the ball hawk guy. If anybody's expecting that kind of role, that's not what he does. But what he is he's a guy who, again, covers very well. And that's a huge thing now in the modern NFL. He used to be safety, which was the guy who was the last resort, just come up in the box and smack into the running back if anybody else missed him. This is a different position the last 10, 15 years now. This is so much more about coverage than anything else. That's what he does. You know, and he's interchangeable. He's played free safety. He's played strong safety. He's played both positions. So you can put him where you need to. He's played a little center field even before. But I think, like I said, he's going to be primarily used as the guy to cover. And I think you're going to see Nubin, we'll talk about in a minute, be the center field kind of guy there. So, listen, I'm excited for him. He's supposed to be very good. But my problem is I'm going to compare him to McKinney the whole year.
Yeah, especially since he's getting paid what McKinney got paid.
Exactly. We could have had McKinney.
McKinney.
Could have done it. So, numbers-wise, I'm going to say he gets about 75 tackles. I'm going to say 1 interception. And he's just really good coverage-wise. And he's a guy that is going to play better than what his stats will show. You know, it's not always about the stats. So
yeah, I'm in agreement. So, like, he's probably going to get like that 75. he might get he might get bumped up a little bit. Like we talked about, like the front line. Yeah, people throwing from behind. He might be in more coverage. Like he might be out there getting more tackles. So like I'm going to go after like an 85, 90-ish tackles this year.
Got a high number. I can see it. It's definitely not other realm of possibilities. That's for sure. All right, let's talk about Tyler Nubin, who's going to be out there in the backfield with him there at the other safety position. Last year, 13 games, 98 tackles, had one fumble recovery, one forced fumble, one pass deflected, 4 tackles for loss, and looks like a really solid player. Just a player that didn't provide any interceptions whatsoever. That's the biggest knock on him. So,
I had an intruder on.
But I think this is going to be the year where you're going to try to get him into more of that center field position, which is where he's better suited for. Like he should be the center fielder guy, point blank. He should be the guy getting 4 or 5 interceptions in a season. And you saw it when he was in Minnesota. He can do it. Now you're going to see him at the NFL level.
I have faith in him too. Like he's going to have a lot of help with it too. You got to have faith. George Michael or Limp Bizkit?
I don't know. We'll find out with the chorus hits if I start screaming.
Yeah. Definitely not George Michael. No, I mean, hopefully you can see him get a few more interceptions this year. Not too much because it is the Giants, but with the front line that we have that's going to be going after the pass rusher, like to put pressure on him, like hopefully there's not as good throws out there, and it's when your safeties are supposed to take advantage of that. So
yeah, and like I said, he's got to be what we thought he was going to be, and he was good as far as got any tackles. A rookie was leading the league in rookies as far as tackles prior to him getting hurt. He was on pace for 128 tackles, which is just an insane high number. But a lot of those numbers was also very high because of the fact that he, quite frankly, dealt with a team that sucked at stopping the run. Like he having to go up there because nobody else was stopping the run. 5-6 yards later. Like if all goes well, he won't have those opportunities again.
Yeah, so like if you see less tackles, like it's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
It was nice to see such high tackling from him, but it's also bad because that means we have bad upfront play.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to throw him at 90 tackles. It's going down, 90 tackles, but I'm going to go with 3 interceptions, and I think he's going to play more of that center field role, and he's going to get a couple picks.
Yeah, right around you with the tackles, maybe 5 or 10 less, but like. I'm gonna increase that interceptions. Like I'd like to see that at 5.
That would be nice.
Sure.
It would be nice. I just don't know if it's realistic, but it would be nice. Let's get 10.
Let's just hope to see 15 for why not? No, I'm just saying, listen, he's the guy that's going to be sitting in the field. He's the guy that's going to be watching the quarterback make mistakes, and that's something I would like to see capitalized, and that's where I'm saying that from. So when you have the pass rushers putting pressure on, we'll say Jalen Hurts we're just throwing him out there, and he makes a bad throw. This is a guy that's supposed to be catching up, and hopefully capitalizing on that. And to say he gets another 2 from what he did last year, or sorry, not last year, but
none last year. What he's got?
Say it's 0.
That's what I'm saying. I think 4, considering at none, is a realistic number. I think any higher on your pipe dreaming.
Yeah, pipe dream all I want.
Okay. Sounds a bit dirty, but okay.
Anyway,
let's get our last guy here. Dane Belton was also another guy in a contract year, by the way. Last year, 17 games, 6 starts, 56 tackles, 6 passes deflected, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, 1 tackle for loss, 1 QB hit, and 1 sack. Basically had 1 of everything, except the interception, of course. Last year, you saw a nice uptick for him on snaps on defense. Now, keep in mind, though, everybody was injured last year, and that's part of it. Everybody was healthy, basically had to play. But we talked about his rookie year. He went down from 39% his rookie year to his second year going down to 26% of defensive snaps. Well, this past year, he went up to 42%. Now, keep in mind, obviously, again, we talked about Tyler Nubin being hurt the last couple games. That is something that, Dane Belt had to kind of step up and do that. So, if you look at the last 4 games, 100% of snaps, 89, 188. Like, he wasn't on that kind of pace otherwise. Week 10, he had 100% of snaps. If you take out the 5 games, basically, that he was covering people in injuries, his snap count actually was lower than it's ever been.
Yeah.
Now he goes this year, and he's the third safety, and there really isn't much of an option behind him. So, yeah, I'd like to tell you that that Dane Belton's a guy that the Giants don't really like too much, just based on what they use him for. You can tell, but he is the guy you're going to see because they have no other option.
I was going to say there's no real depth over.
No. So, I'm hoping we don't see him as much though, because like I said, the Giants are showing with the numbers when people are healthy, he's not getting the game.
Yeah,
they're showing you point blank they don't want to use him. So I'm going to say he gets about 35 tackles overall. Hopefully he sticks to his role as a special teamer because he's been a good special teamer the last couple of years. Done about 77% of snaps on special teams. So he's been pretty prolific as far as that. And, is a decent special teamer. So that should be his role. Special teamer, occasionally going up in nickel and dime packages, and that's it.
Yeah, probably about 35% of the snaps.
Yeah.
35, 0 interceptions.
And what I'd love to see him do is get rid of the bad big plays because he is the big play king. He is good big plays and bad big plays. And that's it. There is no regular plays. It's all extremely good or extremely bad. It's either him missing entirely his coverage and a guy getting a touchdown, or him doing a bad angle and a guy getting a 20-yard run, or it's him getting an interception or a fumble recovery.
Yeah, picking up right, being there at the right time.
He's the Jameis Winston of safeties.
Yeah. They should all go to crab legs together.
Yeah, exactly. They probably have. So. All righty, guys. Well, that's going to call it a night for us here. Again, we're going to be back on Wednesday at our regular time as well. Again, we're going to start doing our regular season schedule. So in case you weren't there at the beginning, regular season schedule is going to be, of course, having the Wednesday is going to be the preview episode. Thursday will be our picks episodes. And then on game day, we'll have live play-by-play, post-game coverage. And then Monday's going to be kind of a wild card, whatever is going on with the Giants that week there at that point there. So we're on to our 4 episodes a week officially here. So again, as always, guys, we are live on YouTube, the preferred platform, on Facebook, Twitter /X, Twitch, and of course, Rob's favorite, my LinkedIn profile. And of course, as always, we're live. We're available the next day on the audio podcast. I wish we could go live on there. Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, all the big ones there. Again, guys, we got a little special shout out to our audio listeners who basically broke the record again for us 3 months in a row with the most audio downloads for the show. And this wasn't, by the way, like a small number it was beaten by. It was a decent number. So considering the season has already began, I can only imagine what we're going to do next month. So appreciate you guys all. Wish you guys be more part of the show as far as the commenting and, kind of being part of the show like that. But I get it. You're listening on your way to work and stuff like that. And hopefully we're making your life a little less stressful as you're trying not to flip the guy off and just cut you off there. So, exactly. So, again, guys, we'll be back again Wednesday night. Appreciate you guys for listening, watching, as always. Apologize also about the fun technical difficulty we're having here during the episode there. Appreciate you guys' patience with that. And, of course, as always, Giant fans, go G-Man! Go G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.